folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey, right here on the Dice Tower. Today we're going to be taking a look at Kabuto Sumo. We're just going to be talking about the core box. There are a number of different expansions and promos and little accessories that you can get. We're going to cover most of those next week right here on the Dice Tower, so come back for that. But we're going to be taking a look at the core box called Kabuto Sumo. Let's get down to the table and take a look, shall we? So here I have a two-player game of Kabuto Sumo set up for you. As you can see here, you have one player's wrestler on this side and the other player's wrestler here. The game actually does come with a quick start guide that makes it very simple for you to just jump right on into the game and get started with very good pictorial representations of what setup is going to look like, what each of the different wrestlers look like, and then there's also basically some quick start rules on the back as well. So this quick start guide is an amazing thing. Now I do want to say that most of the components that you see here are what you're going to find in the core box. But there are a couple of things like this little holder right here, this little storage solution right here, that are part of an accessory that Allplay offers for Kabuto Sumo. And you can come back next week for a detailed look at what this has come from. We're also going to show you another thing here that is part of an accessory. So this is a cardboard version of the ring, and they also offer this wood version of the ring that comes on a Lazy Susan. So it's actually a really neat accessory to have, and it comes with a wooden dock as well, as you can see here. But this is a really neat accessory for the game. The cardboard is great, don't get me wrong, but if you can swing for something like this, it improves your gameplay in a significant manner. So I did want to mention that, and that it is available. So basically what this game is bug professional wrestling. That's what this is. So you have one professional wrestler or sumo wrestler on one side and one on the other. You can play 3-player, and then you can also play 4-player team where you have 2 versus 2 as well. So that is all talked about in the rule book, and all of those different setups are shown right here as well. So as you're getting into the game, you're going to have this dock basically that you can put on your turn anywhere around the ring that you wish. And so let's say that I'm going to start over here with Mjolnir. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that Mjolnir's piece actually should look like this, but because of Mjolnir's special ability, he's a Titan Beetle, and at setup, you're going to replace this piece and an adjacent medium-sized piece with the Titan Beetle piece, and so that's why it's a little bit different here. But on your turn, you're basically going to be able to place this wherever you wish around the ring, and then you're going to be able to take one of the pieces in your inventory. In a 2-player game, you start with 2 smalls and 1 medium, and then for 3-player and team setups, they have different starting pieces. But you're going to take one of your pieces here, and you're basically going to slide it into the ring using a equal amount of force. There's no flicking or shoving or anything like that, and it must go in a straight line. Now, when you go in a straight line, it doesn't have to go straight towards the center. You can like go in a straight line this way or kind of cattywampus in a weird direction, whatever. You don't have to go into the middle, but you may want to. You never know. So when you push your piece on, you're going to keep pushing in the straight directional line until the back edge is inside the ring. So I may be able to do something like this. And once your the back of the piece reaches the edge of the board, now you have finished your move. Any standard pieces that fall off become part of your inventory, and now you can use them on future turns. The way you win the game is by either pushing your opponent's wrestler off of the ring, which is a knockout, or you can win by submission. So if your opponent runs out of pieces that they can use on their turn, they lose and you win by submission. And those are basically the two ways that you can win. So now it comes over to this, the Blue Beetle's turn, which is Mighty Jaw Mike. And maybe he's going to want to say, well, I need to get my butt back up into the ring here. So he's going to push this direction like that and stop. And these three came off during his turn. Now, in a two-player game, there's also a referee check. And that basically means that if you ever have 6 pieces, you're going to have to take 2 of them and stack them somewhere on top of a same-sized or larger piece. So let's say that for somehow he had 6 pieces over here. He would have to take 2 of them and he could stack them like this. And that's really the core rules of the game. What I'd like to do now, though, is just kind of go over what some of the different player pieces are. So these signature moves can be performed either before or after your standard action. So for example here, Mighty Jaw Mike has Mandible Claw. So I can pay 3 of these small pieces to the opponent and you're able to take your Mandible Claw instead. So these 3 would go to my opponent and I'd be able to take my Mandible Claw into my inventory. Then, once I've done that, I could use Vice Grip and pay 1 medium to an opponent, and then if any part of the piece is inside or touching the mandible, immediately knock out that piece and all pieces stacked on it. Add all standard discs knocked out this way to your inventory. You have Mjolnir here that has a Titanic setup ability, which changes how he sets up in the beginning of the game. But he also has Thorax's Hammer, where he can pay 1 small and 1 medium to the opponent, and then at the end of your turn, you get to add a large to your inventory, which is pretty heavy. Now, the game does come with 6 other individuals or wrestlers. You have Sisyphus, where is this stool taken? Stack 2 of your small pieces, so that means you just have to take 2 of these small pieces from your inventory and stack them onto the board, and then you can add 1 medium to your inventory. Then you also have Roly Poly, where you can stack 2 of your mediums and then add the dung to your inventory, and that basically is a huge piece. As you can see, it is larger than a large piece, so that's pretty devastating as well. You also have the Great Metamorphosis. So the Green Mist special ability is that you can push in 2 smalls one at a time from the same platform position, and this replaces your turn. So this is a special ability where you can use 2 smalls and push them in one at a time instead of just being able to do 1. You also have a Boiling Point special ability where it says you pay 2 mediums to an opponent and you get to add the her special piece to your inventory, and now you can use that as you would one of your other pieces. Cactus Jacked, which has this feigning death at the beginning of your turn. If your wrestler is touching the board edge, you get to add 1 large and this little cactus piece to your inventory, which is pretty interesting. So both of these would get added to your inventory if your wrestler is already touching the edge of the board. Then you also have Bang Bang, which means you can pay 1 of your larges, which is a pretty hefty price, to an opponent, and then at the end of your turn, push any additional piece. Kimmerite, which has the Shiko ability. At the end of your turn, you may stack 1 small piece from your inventory onto your wrestler piece, so that's pretty interesting. Then you also have Sukadashi, which means you can remove 1 or more pieces stacked on your wrestler piece and gain the Kimmerite piece and all removed pieces from your back and push them in one at a time from the same platform position. This replaces your turn. Then you have the Empolo del Diablo, which you have this blistering. It says at the end of your turn, if your wrestler is touching an opponent's wrestler, that player gives you any one piece from their inventory. So more often than not, that's probably going to be a small one, but maybe you've caught them in a spot where the smallest one they have is a medium or something to that effect. That's pretty cool. You have to be touching them though. That's pretty hard. Then you have Spanish Fly. Pay 2 smalls to an opponent. Add the piece to your inventory. And whenever this piece is knocked out, you would return it to your inventory, which is pretty interesting because we haven't said this, but any other piece, generally speaking, if that special piece is knocked out, it's returned to the general supply. It doesn't come back to your inventory. And then finally, we have the Pebble. It says, can you dig it? Stack 2 of your smalls. And at the end of your turn, gain and stack the Pebble piece on any non-wrestler piece. So the Insects Champion, when the Pebble is knocked out, immediately take a bonus turn. But that's all of the wrestlers that come in the core box. Now, there is another easier way to play the game, and it has basically more streamlined setup. And it's called the Junior League variant. So it's just a little bit more easier to set up. There's fewer rules that you actually start with your pieces, your special pieces, instead of having to go through and acquire them. So I just wanted to show those to you. It's a little bit of a more streamlined, easier way to play the game with fewer rules, and which would maybe be better for younger players, but I think it's really cool that they included this in the game as well. So that's about that for Kabuto Sumo from Allplay. And I have to say that I was interested in the idea of this game before I actually learned how to play it. I learned how to play it in like a matter of minutes. It's not a hard game to learn how to play. And it is pretty much just a dexterity game. You're going to be pushing those pieces onto the ring and trying to push off other pieces so that you don't have to basically tap out. But I think the fact that it's bug wrestlers is really kind of the clincher for me, because I did watch professional wrestling back in the day. It's not that I've turned my nose up at it or anything like that, but it's just one of those things that if this had been like professional wrestlers, like actual humans, it probably wouldn't have been as interesting to me. But the fact that they used bug wrestlers and all of the different, the nuances that go into each wrestler are all bug related. I really like that tenuous tie to nature. I think it's a really fun tie-in, and I think it helps with how many mechanisms can be added to the game, which we'll talk about next week, because this is a game that really benefits a lot from its expansions. The core box is great, don't get me wrong, and we'll talk more about that in my pros and cons, but I think this really benefits from expansions, more wrestlers, and all of that kind of stuff. So hang on to your hats when we get to my rating section, because, just hang on to your hats. So my first pro here is the fact that it is a simple dexterity game that's kind of like an abstract strategy game. That's pretty much what this is. It's a dexterity abstract strategy game. Now that doesn't seem to make sense, but hopefully my explanation will help you out here. It's abstract in that the theme could be anything that you want it to be. It just, in my opinion, happens to work best with bug wrestlers. So there's that. I also think that there's a lot of strategy to the game. Now, it's not long, drawn-out strategy. Think quick strategy, which might feel a little bit more like tactics, in my opinion. So maybe this is a abstract tactical game rather than an abstract strategy game, but it is very much a dexterity game. Knowing how you're pushing in that piece in the different, how it's going to affect all of the different pieces that are there. That's where you're really going to be able to hit the ground running with this. So it's very much a dexterity game, but it's also, it has that abstract strategy quality to it, in my opinion. So that is my first pro. I think it's great. And the fact that it is simple, that leads into our second pro though. Second pro for me is the fact that it does teach in literally like 2 to 3 minutes. This does not take a long time to teach. There are no real, especially if you're using the junior league rules, there are really no extraneous rules to be taught here. You're simply pushing things in, things that fall off, you're going to get those, and whoever can push the other person off first or make the other person run out of pieces first is the winner. That's really it, and it teaches that fast, and I love games that do that because they really embed themselves as a great appetizer for game nights, because you can set this up and kind of whet everybody's appetite with the game, and then you move on to something a little bit more challenging or more involved. This is a great appetizer or palate cleanser. Probably a little bit better of an appetizer because it does have a little bit of setup that's involved there, but take that for what it's worth. My third pro for the game is going to be the component quality. Now, take this for a grain of salt if you wish. We're not talking about hugely overproduced production quality. We're not talking about that, and I feel like I have to say that because sometimes when you talk about component quality and you say this is really good component quality, that's what people think. It's overproduced. Nah, this isn't overproduced, but I think it's produced very well for what it is. Now, I did show you the accessory board that you can get that is made out of wood, comes on this Lazy Susan and all of that kind of stuff, with the dock that goes with it, also made out of wood. The pieces that come, the pieces that come in the box are all these really sturdy, chonky cardboard pieces that are still very well done. The bases of them are thinner cardboard than the top, but the tops are very chonky, and all of these standard pieces, all of these wooden discs are very aesthetically pleasing as far as that's concerned, and I mean that in a very real way. So the board over here also, just really good component quality. The card stock is a nice linen finish, and it looks good. The artwork is good. Everything about this aesthetically is very pleasing to me. So it's a big thumbs up for me there too. My final pro is going to be that it just simply doesn't overstay its welcome. And that's one of the coolest things about it. It's a very fast game with very fast turns. And you can play a game of this in about 20 to 30 minutes. And really, that's going to be a longer game of it. More often than not, you're going to be able to probably engineer a win faster than you will lose by submission. But you can lose by submission. If you get a little bit unlucky with things not falling off when you thought they were going to, that could absolutely happen. But generally speaking, games are going to be very fast. Turns are very fast, and I like that fast gameplay and the fact that it just doesn't overstay its welcome. It makes it a great appetizer. It's one of those games that you're going to basically, you're gonna play it, and then you're gonna be like, oh man, I just lost. Well, let's play again. But this is one of those games that I think you're gonna play multiple times when you bring it out to the table, and I think that's a great thing. Now, my only con to the game is that it does have a little bit of a setup time, and it's not nearly as egregious as other games that I've played, so please don't get me wrong. This is a small con, but it is a con nonetheless. It isn't a game that you can just kind of slap it on the table real fast and then play through a game real fast. There is a little bit of setup because those discs have to be placed in a very specific way, depending upon the player count that you're going at. So there is some tediousness to the setup, but it's really not egregious. It's not a huge deal, but it does exist. So I felt like I needed to mention it, but that's about that. So all in all, my rating of Kabuto Sumo is going to be a very strong 8 out of 10 because I really do enjoy the game a lot. Now, why is it marked down a little bit? Well, I think normally I'm not a huge dexterity game kind of person. But with that being said, this is a dexterity game that I will willfully pull out and I will willfully play at almost any given point in time because I enjoy it that much. This is the kind of dexterity game that I actually do enjoy playing. So it's an 8 out of 10. It would have been an 8.5 out of 10 if it hadn't been for that setup time and how tedious it can be to set up the board at the beginning of the game. But as I said earlier in this video, this game benefits greatly from expansion content, expansion wrestlers, and so forth and so on. So come back next week. We may see a bump up in my rating of this game come next week. So let's go and check that out, shall we? Thanks for joining me here on the Dice Tower. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.